Okay.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of Insanefriends.
With milk and cookies.
And Camaro Time. Don't know where we're going to see anybody this when you get yours up. You have to moderate and everything because. Okay, I left my calendar. Calendar of events. Let me grab the calendar of events.
Yay!
All bloopers are included, and there will be plenty of bloopers.
Whoa. Bumpy start.
This is our first episode of Insanefriends, so there will be some bloopers for sure.
Oh, why don't we go to YouTube?
Okay, we're going to start off with calendar of events.
Oh, no.
And on our calendar of events, we have, our moderator's trying to get her computer up so we can see what all's going on.
I got a new computer.
And while she's doing that, I'm going to go over our calendar of events.
I got 5 messages. Okay, there we are. That's a cute couple.
Yes. Last week of April, last weekend of April,
no, you don't.
we are going to have Dalton beat the heat meet again. And unless it rains, it's calling for rain this weekend. There's also the first annual meet in Ringgold. And and I do not have my information on that. I think it is on here. If I can, maybe I can do this. See if I can do a screen share.
Yay, there we are.
And if I can do a screen share.
How are you? Hi.
Can you see this? Is it screen sharing? No.
No.
No. We are definitely going to be having technical difficulties.
Gang, hi. Camaro Time. I can,
He's trying to get signed in. Camaro Time is trying to get signed in. And this is the first time we've used Google Hangouts. So be prepared for strange antics to go on during the show.
As if it weren't strange enough.
The name of the show is Insanefriends, so be prepared.
Careful, it's gonna be bumpy.
Yeah. We try to keep our channel G-rated, but at times like this, it may get a little PG. So let's see what we got here.
Roadnecks, hey, how you doing?
Now the event I'm trying to remember, the guy that's putting on the event and owns the shop and everything nearby, put this on one of my Facebook pages, so I'm trying to find it right now. Because apparently I did not update my calendar of events before doing the calendar of events portion of the show. So first blooper is well underway.
Did we bloop ourselves to bloop?
Yep, we started out with bloopers. Right there. Chris Martin is holding the spring cruise-in, and it's the first spring cruise-in he's held. He's planning on doing this every year on April the 28th, which is this coming Saturday at 362 Roadway Drive in Ringgold, Georgia. That is near the Costco, just off the exit of Highway 75. It's going to be from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. If there's weather permits and I can get the camera out over there, then I will be there filming cars. I will not be there till 6 p.m. because I will be trying to get back here with some daylight left to hit the Dalton Beat the Heat meet again and
to feed
visit all our friends
blonde.
there. Yes. Yeah, there will be food in between. And
if you don't feed the blonde before sundown, she gets grumpy.
So there will be classic cars, trucks, new and old muscle cars, specialty cars, rat rods, motorcycles, and live music by Cecil Allen Moore. The entry fee will be donations to the Shriners Hospital, and there will be a car and bike wash. There will be food and beverages. Catering is by Bud's Sports Bar.
Bud's is still.
And for more information, that is on our Car Show Cars and Cruisers of the Southeast Facebook page. Yes, Bud's Sports Bar still exists. They moved some years ago to close to the creek on Brainerd Road, near where the tool store is.
Wow, didn't know that.
I think you were in Florida at the time, or still in Peru. I'm not sure.
Wow, I went there a few times.
To the Bud Sports Bar?
Yeah. I got snowed in there once.
Can you see our chat and everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Link not working.
Okay, the link's not working. Okay, let's see what else I can come up with. There's the little people guy. It says invite people. Could you send me on Facebook your email? And I will try doing that. Put your email in here where it says send invite. So in that Facebook private message, send me your email, because it says here I can invite you through email. Sorry for the delay on getting Camaro Time on here. We're trying to get it to where he can be on here, and that way we can have Camaro Time on here and we can talk about Camaros.
Yeah, I got a lot of questions about Camaros. I always like to go to an expert.
Okay, why did it do that?
Go invite.
Yeah, I tried to. It's not highlighted. Okay, there's his email on there. See? Okay, why is it doing that? Oh, there's not a .com there. There we go.
All right. We got the email sent to you.
Okay, wait a minute. Now maybe it's sent.
Oh, goodness. And what's that red telephone looking thing?
When I highlight that, it asks me if I want to leave the call.
Oh, okay.
So
well,
I'm not
no,
pressing
we don't
that.
want to do that. Not today.
Because it might end the stream.
So we're not going to do that. Yay, we're getting it. We're going to learn how to do this the hard way, aren't we?
Okay, let's try this thing with the screen share again. See if it will let y'all see my screen.
Oh, we got Camaro Time.
He's here.
Hey,
awesome.
how you doing?
God, I didn't think I was going to make it.
No, we're going to have to put in the earphones, so give us a sec.
That's fine.
High tech, we're using one pair between us.
Yeah. There we go.
How are you guys doing today?
Oh.
Awesome. It's great to hear you. We can hear you now.
If I were any better, I'd have to be two people. I'm telling you.
There you go.
So.
Sorry for the delay, everybody.
Oh, we're just
yeah,
learning.
That was all our fault right there. It's our first time using the Google Hangouts.
Yep.
And it's not our first time being live, but it is our first episode of Insane Friends, and it is our first time of doing the Google Hangouts. So that was all us. That was all on our end. That wasn't Camaro Time's fault at all. He was right there waiting.
He was right on
for us
time.
To get him a good link.
Doing exactly what he was needing to do.
Yep. So
practice makes perfect.
yeah. So it will get better the second time, and even better the third time. And by the time we get to 5 or 6 times, you'll think we're pros at this.
There you go.
And this is proof that we're attached, I think.
Right. It's also proof that it's our first go at this type of living.
I was about to have a panic attack.
Yeah, it was getting kind of panicky there for a second on our end too. I'm like, well, I studied this, and I'm like, and then nothing ever goes the way it's if you.
No, sir, it does not.
We just need to move on now.
Yeah, we do. We need to move on. You're right. Absolutely.
Well, I am glad you're here finally.
Glad to be here.
Awesome.
I wanted to ask you a few questions like, what's your favorite Camaro?
I knew you was going to ask me that. 1969 Yenko.
Really? Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah. Well, it's the most popular year of the Camaro, which is 1969. Got the big block. It's done by the Yenko Automotive Group, which has better suspension, better appearance package, different seats, stuff like that, larger motor.
What makes it your favorite?
The fact that there's not many of them.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, now let's make sure everybody can hear what we're talking about. You're talking about the Yenko version of the 69. Am I correct?
Correct. And then my second favorite would be the Baldwin Motion, which is the same thing, big block 427s and stuff like that.
Now, the Yenko, that was done by a dealership up north, wasn't it? Didn't they do all the Yenkos at one of the new car dealerships up north? I can't remember which state that was in. I can't remember which. Yeah, I can't remember which state that dealership was in.
Ooh, that's a good one. I can't remember that either.
Yeah, I did get a chance to film one of them at one of the car shows down here, a real live Yenko, not a reproduction. It was an original Yenko. And I think it was at the
it was the benefit for the hospital.
Yeah, for the children's hospital. Benefit for the children's hospital at the high school in Fort Oglethorpe.
I don't remember what high school.
There's a lot of repos out there, a lot of remakes and stuff.
Yeah. So but if I could remember exactly which video that was on our channel, I would tell everyone, but my memory's not what it used to be, and we're pushing over 300 videos at this point, so it's getting kind of hard to keep track of it all. But I do have a GM playlist that will narrow it down a little bit. So if you want to see that Yenko Camaro, look in the GM playlist, and then you won't have to look through 300 videos.
Right. I just Googled it, and Yenko Chevrolet was in Cannonsburg, Pennsylvania.
Fantastic.
Awesome. That's great.
Thank God for Google, right?
Now, have you had a 69, or is that just your favorite?
No, sir, I have not. I have not.
I had two Camaros that I can remember, and one of them was a 69, and one of them was a 86. And the 86 I had the longest. It was T-tops. It was red, and it was a 2.8 liter V6 car with fuel injection. Thing got nearly 30 miles to the gallon. It still had some pretty good get up and go because that V6 was very lightweight.
Right.
So was the car.
Now, I should know this, but maybe not everybody does. What Camaros do you have right now? And can you tell us something, what makes them special?
The ones I have right now?
I know you have two or three.
I got two.
Okay.
The first one I ever bought was a 1993 Z28. That's the one I still have. It's the black one with the silver stripes. The reason I like that was, number one, it's paid for. And number two, it's built. Number two, it's built like a rock. Like 224,000 miles on it. Never done a thing to it except for change the oil. I did have to replace the smog pump once time because I wasn't driving it that much, and it developed one little spot of rust on the blade.
Okay.
And the Z28 is their track package, so it takes corners real good, and it's just got outstanding performance. And then after I got that one, I paid for it, got it paid off and everything. I was actually looking into the Challengers when they first came out, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So I then saw the commercial for the 2010 Camaro. And I was like, holy moly, that looks just like a 69. One day I'm going to have one. So now I have the SS model, which is the red one with the white stripes.
Wow.
Right. And for viewers that don't know, the SS stands for Super Sport. Am I right?
Correct.
So that's not the Nazi Camaro.
No. No, that's not.
That's a Super Sport.
Correct.
So,
and basically, I mean, the first generation. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, what does the Super Sport come with in your year model?
In my year model, it comes with the LS3, which is 423 horsepower.
Wow.
That's pretty stout. That's pretty stout. Now, and what was it you were going to say before I rudely interrupted you?
No, that's fine. It was actually the LS2. I'm sorry, I said 3. But anyhow, the first generation, the first one they ever made, the one they took to all the shows and stuff, was actually an inline V6, like a 230 cubic inch. Well, then later that year, they actually came out with the Z28, but not many people knew about it. So '67 is when they started actually finding out about them in the brochures, the literature and everything. That was their official track car. They was going after the Mustang and everything in the Trans Am Racing Series. Well, after that first gen, basically the Z28 fell wayside. It was just like a regular SS or any Camaro with a V8 in it. And not until like 2014, 2015, when the 5th gen Z28 came out, that's when the Z28 took over again. But all the things in between, like the Z28, the SS, and all that stuff, basically are appearance packages and like maybe 10 or 15 more horsepower. That's it.
Yeah, I was some years ago, probably around 3 years ago, I was at the Chevy dealership looking at the new Camaros. And I think at that time, they had the base Camaro was around $26,000.
Yep.
But I didn't want a base, of course.
Of course.
I wanted one of the SS or the RS, something like that. And so I was looking at these SSs and RSs, and I can't remember which one had which options, but both of them had bigger brakes than the base model, and at least one of them had a bigger cool springs in the suspension, and they both had a larger motor for standard equipment, but you could get even bigger engines on the SS or RS if you paid more. And I think the ones that I was looking at were the way they were outfitted and the options that they had on them. One of them was a little over $40,000, and the other one was close to $45,000.
Yep, that would have been
compared to a base model that was $25,000. So.
Yeah, that would have been a 2SS model, right? You had the sunroof and the leather and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, and they all look great. They were all just beautiful cars.
They are fun cars. I really truly enjoy mine.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I grew up in my family. They were all just get me here and there cars. But when I was born in '66, was the second year of the Mustang. So I totally missed the whole muscle car era. So thank God for Hot Wheels and magazines. That kept my interest in them alive.
Oh, wow.
And now we're reliving it again. The new Mustangs, you got the Challengers, you got the Chargers, you got the Camaros. What a great time. Plus all the modern comforts, air conditioning and power assisted brakes and cruise control, everything.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's one of the things that that I've been telling people. Not every show I go on, but periodically, I like to remind people that right now we're going through a revolution or a renaissance, an automotive renaissance that's only paralleled by two other times in history. One during the muscle car era of the '60s, and the other time was at the turn of the other century, not the late 1800s and the early 1900s, when we first went from buggies to carts and to automobiles, first real automobiles. And so that was our first renaissance. And then the '60s was the second renaissance. We're going through a third renaissance right now. And things are changing so just as rapidly as they did in the '60s, and just as rapidly as they did in the late 1800s and early 1900s, as far as automobiles are concerned.
And they're putting so much power in them right now that it's scary.
Oh yeah.
Well, in a way they have to, because the cars are so heavy.
Yeah, but
that, and they have the technology we were dreaming of, and that was just in development, and like these dual overhead cam engines that were so exotic, and they were just under development in the late '60s and early '70s, that just disappeared and never actually made it into the cars. They're not only making it into the cars now, but they're way more developed than they were back then, and they're a lot more durable and a lot more long lasting. I mean, these back then, that we were lucky if we got in the '70s, we were lucky if we got a car that had an engine that would make it to 100,000 miles. Now we get engines that go 3, 4, 500,000 miles if you take care of them. And it's amazing.
Gregory Salvatore is asking who is going to make it to 1,000 horsepower from factory. I hope no one.
Actually,
honestly,
I think
that would
I
be
can't remember
scary.
who it was, but I think there was one in development, and it's going to be very low production. And I think it was it's going to be GM, and I think it's going to be for one of the Trans Ams. Is one of what I was.
There's an aftermarket. There's an aftermarket company that does the Trans Ams right now, and they're pushing 800 already.
Right.
Good Lord.
And I think what I was reading or watching, I don't remember if it was a video or something I was reading, but GM was planning on doing a select few of them, and I can't remember how many years it's going to be before they come out with them, like 4 or 5 years or something. They were going to hit the 1,000, and they were planning on doing it with the Trans Am.
Well, see, that's the thing. With everybody's in up in arms right now over the refresh. But I think the one that's going to be the Steeler is going to be the new turbo model, because it's coming out with the 1LE package. So I think they're playing around with the turbo on that 4-cylinder to then transform it over to the V8 and possibly get there.
Yeah.
Hey, Josie. Okay.
What the heck we eat now?
Oreo.
Yeah,
God almighty, you get me every time.
Celebrating her big fat commission check from all her sales. Well, she deserves
that food.
Yeah, she deserves it. She's got a lot of sales. She's outsold everybody. When I mean everybody, I mean like everybody in the city and most everybody in the state. Yeah. And if there's one in the insurance company in the state that sold more than her, we don't know who it is.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to tell us, because we can't find one.
But to go back to the question,
yeah,
I honestly think it'll probably be Dodge, because they're pushing it right now. Yep.
Right. And I guess if it's going to be Mopar, it's going to be probably a variation of the Hellcat or the Demon.
Yeah.
And
they're right there at it.
Put my money on the Demon.
They're right there at it.
Oh, yeah, that's a scary car.
Yeah. I don't know how much the insurance companies are going to like it, but oh well.
Not a bit. Trust me.
Now, is there any Mopar guys in the chat here that can tell us? They will charge
you an arm and a leg.
If
oh yeah,
Chrysler, a Mustang comes in, a brand new Mustang comes in, and the insurance is outrageous. I know, because the Mustangs catch my eye every time.
That she'll know, because she sells more insurance than anybody else.
Oh yeah,
and in Dalton, and probably in the state. So, but are there any Mopar guys in the chat that could tell us if they know if Dodge has any plans to make 1,000 horsepower, and what vehicle it would be in, and when they're planning on coming out?
Challenger outsold Mustang in February.
Did they really?
I outsold everybody in February.
RT Gang says the Hellcat's faster than the Demon.
Do what?
Yeah, the Hellcat is faster than the Demon.
So you lose here. Go ahead.
What's the fastest Camaro?
Oh my God, that depends on who you talk to. Right now, John Hennessy's got one.
Right, but I mean, if you go just buy one off the showroom floor, what would you have to
fastest in a straight line would be the Z01. Fastest around the track would be the Z01 1LE.
ZR1?
ZL1.
And so,
of course, we love our Mustangs.
Yes,
I love all
but
cars.
today in this episode, it's Camaro time.
Well, I'm just answering Bottle Cap's statement. Ladies love the Mustangs. They're Mustangs.
Good
And
old
I
Bottle
said, of
Cap.
course we do. I mean, I love you too, Camaro Time, but my Mustang. I'm a Mustang girl.
I know. My wife's a Mustang lover.
So, you know, it's what it is.
So,
Yeah, well.
so there's a hidden one in the driveway somewhere?
No, there's not one hidden, but she said the next car that we buy was hers, so we'll see.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, hey,
Might be one in the future.
I don't have a Camaro right now, but I do have a Corvette, and it and my Mustang get along just fine in the garage. I don't see them out there clapping each other around or anything. So,
it's all good. I love all cars.
Yeah, and then,
and the Jaguar out there, that he just hangs out too. So
yeah, he gets along with everybody, but he does eat a lot of gas. A lot of gas for that sucker.
Yeah. Well, we don't buy these cars for gas mileage anyway, so.
We literally keep a gas can around in case we haven't moved the Jaguar in a while.
Yeah.
And if we go to move it, sometimes it'll be sitting there out of gas. Just from sitting there.
Like I said, we don't buy them for gas mileage. Thank God for AAA.
well, I think AAA get tired of picking us up. We can't go to the end of the block without running out of gas with that 12-cylinder.
Wow.
Well, and the Mustang's not much better on gas.
And we had another car like that when we were teenagers.
Yeah, it was a Ford too.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was gas guzzling Ford. Man, I tell you what, but that was a beautiful car, and I miss it.
It was a Mercury Park Lane convertible.
Sure was. 18.5 feet long, leather interior, and just as comfortable and nice, and float like it was on air.
Yeah, but you were going from gas station to gas station.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I had a Plymouth Fury too.
390
horsepower
in it.
Yeah, they are awesome though, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Nothing rides like those old, huge cars. I mean, it's just awesome.
Now, so you talk about gas mileage and everything. Would you believe my 93 Z28, the black one, actually gets 24 miles to the gallon?
Is 25?
24.
24. Yeah, I would believe it because typically I've got better gas mileage with my GMs, and that, like I said, well, not the 69, but the 86 that I had, the red one with the T-tops.
Yep.
It had the fuel-injected V6 in it, and that thing would get nearly 30 miles to the gallon on the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
I would use that for vacations and stuff. And so when I'd go off to the beach or something, Florida, Myrtle Beach, whatever.
Fab Automotive Detailing says he doesn't care what anybody drives as long as it's clean.
There you go. There you go.
Well, that's what we got guys like you for, Fab. So we can pay guys like you to clean it.
Got to have a clean Camaro.
Oh, yeah. My dad actually owned a detail shop for a little while, and we were in Chattanooga at the time, and he needed some help. We went back to Atlanta again and stayed down there for a while, helping him out with the detail shop, working in the detail shop.
A lot of work.
I still don't like cleaning cars. I don't like doing the cleaning stuff. I'd rather do the repairs any day than do the cleaning.
And see, I got double trouble right now because
Mustang gets 7 miles per gallon.
Wow.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That's worse than my Jaguar.
They're putting in a bypass, right? That ends right in front of my house. And so they've got my front yard torn up, and we've had 2 days straight rain, and it's nothing but mud going across my driveway now. Yeah.
Yeah,
so I get ticked every time I leave.
That dirt all over the place in some of your videos, and I was going to ask you about that.
It's now mud.
Yeah, it's now mud. Yeah. You could have mud bog contests out there now, couldn't you? Be a tractor pull and everything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so it looked like they were widening the highway, and it also looked like it was pretty straight stretch right there when you usually where you usually pull out. So
Yeah, it is.
how's that going to affect your driving and stuff when they finally finish that? Is there going to be some 0 to 60 pulls and stuff like that on your video?
Oh, I do that already. But in the video, when I leave my driveway, if you look off to the left, which is normally the first way I show, just as soon as it goes out of sight, that's where that bypass is actually at. It's going across the road. And what they're doing is they're widening in front of my house to add turning lanes so that you can get on and off of that bypass. Mm-hmm. So that's why they're widening it. But the plan is, right where my driveway is, they're going to pave that area, tear up the paved part that's out there now, so they can drop the hill down, because there's wrecks there about every single day. They plan to cut the hill down 3 feet, repave it, and widen it. And then the part they got dirt now that they're going to pave, they're going to tear that back up and put a drainage ditch there. A lot of work.
Oh no, what did I do?
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Whoa!
We're having some kind of technical difficulty over here. See, another blooper live.
Oh
no! Not sure what's going on there, but it's another blooper live. Now, in one of my favorite videos of yours, you started out talking about, and if you want to find this video, you're going to have to look up one on this page. It's one of his most recent videos on the Camaro Time page. It says something about 2019 Camaros, but he also talks about all the generations of the Camaros. Could you tell us a little bit about that here, what you were talking about with the different generations of the Camaros?
Oh, I was just basically running through some of the the different generations, because it seems like every time the Camaro specifically has a refresh, it's always a drastic change. You know, like you had the first generation, which was 67, 68, 69. Then they took the second generation longer. They went from 70 to 81. So that's about 11 years. Then the third generation, they went 82 to 92. But what I'm getting at is each time they would change it just enough and build upon it so that when they went to the new production model, it would be a complete design change, and they would learn off of what they did on the refreshes from the previous generation. And nobody ever likes them. Like this one, everybody's really been out of shape over the placement of the bow tie. Like on the SS, it's now in the center of what would be the front bumper. And if you've ever looked at the front bumper on a car, it's always square, but it always has a slight angle to it and a beveled edge. And what that does, it helps get the airflow to go into the lower and the upper grille. Mm-hmm. Well, now they flattened that. It's completely flat on the SS model, and it's got the flow tie in the middle. I don't know how that's going to tie into the air intake, but it's supposed to actually pick up the fresh air from there and go into the cold air intake, which is the flattest part of the car. So I will see.
Yeah, so I think if I remember right in that video, you were pointing out that some people were getting up in arms about the bow tie there.
Yep.
But at the same time, most people were just once they purchased the cars, they were replacing the bow tie anyway.
Yes. Mm-hmm. A lot of them either black them out or get rid of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But
like I said, they put it directly in the center on this new model, and I don't know. You know, they spend a lot of money on air tunnel testing and all that. I don't know if that's the one place where they get more static air, or if that's where the air hits the most, or what. I don't know what their thought process is. You know, I don't work for them, so, but I'm just assuming that's where it'll be able to pick up the most air.
Right.
Another double stuff.
We've noticed too that, you know, going through the different generations of Corvettes for our Corvette series, it's the change is drastic from one series to the next in the Corvettes as well. It's almost.
And with the refreshes, they're always fun because if a person bought a Camaro, Corvette, whatever car you want to talk about, let's just use Camaros for this instance. If I bought the 2010 model, well, the 2012 to 2011 is going to kind of upset me. I'm not going to like it. But then when the 2014, 2015 comes along, well, all of a sudden it's new enough to where I might like that model. But if it's just a 1 or 2 year change, nobody ever likes them.
Yeah, but there was something else you were pointing out in your video that's a little different from the evolution of the Corvettes.
Mm-hmm.
that struck me as a big difference between the evolution of the Camaro and the evolution of the Corvettes. Something GM did radically different between those two lines is you were pointing out one of the later generations of the Corvettes. They actually, the body style looked a lot like the 69 body style. So they were revisiting some of the older body style. Whereas in the Corvette, when you're looking at the later generations of the Corvette, you can see this drastic change in the C4 Corvette. After the C3 series, the C4 series has a drastic body style change again. And then everything after that seems to follow that kind of body style all the way up to the C7. It looks more like the C4 than the C1 or the C2 or the C3. It doesn't seem to follow any of those. So it doesn't seem like they've done anything retro to the muscle car area in the Corvette yet. Whereas they have with the Camaro. With the Camaro, they do have a later model generation that harkens back to the 69, the late 60s.
Right. That would be the 2010 to the 2013 models.
2010 to the 2015 models?
Yep. That's the reason I bought mine, was because it looked like the 69. You know, I grew up always wanting a 69. Then they brought this with the modern technology and everything. I just had to get it.
Right.
Awesome.
And there's Mustang is doing a similar thing with some of their later generations looking more like the 60s models. And
see, that's the last one they did like that was the 69, the one that looked like the 69 Mustang. And then when it came out with the 550, oh God, the Mustang guys, they were raising all kind of heck. They did not like it at first, but now that's one of their most popular and most powerful platforms they have.
Exactly, I agree. And the Camaro, Corvette, I think they're going more towards what they've toyed around with in the past, with trying to compete with more supercar type cars with the Corvette. Whereas
that's exactly where they went with the ZR1.
Right. Whereas the Camaro is still, you know, a quote pony car and competing with all the other American manufacturers pony cars. And
pony car.
Even back in the day, it seemed like Camaro and Ford and Mopar, they were all more competing with each other, and the manufacturers would kind of ignore things like the Z cars that were coming out of Japan and stuff, because they would come on the scene and it was a totally different platform.
Oh yeah.
It was about the same size, but it was radically different.
And see, that's what I was talking about in the video you was referring to. You know, Mustang came out and took the world by storm with the Mustang. Ford did an excellent job with the 65 model. And everybody was playing catch up. And the Camaro was designed and built specifically to take on the Mustang. And then the Dodge came in a little later with their cars and everything and just, you know, whooped both of them.
There were some pretty radical Dodges.
They were. They wasn't the most gorgeous things, but my God, they could do what they wanted them to do.
Well, and they had some of the most radical body styles too, and those big, huge, crazy fins, wings on the back.
Yeah.
I remember there was a time where my building is in Chattanooga now, I still own some commercial property up there. Although I don't run a business in it anymore, I lease spaces out in it to other business owners now.
Right.
But it's still up there, and the building that used to be the Chrysler dealership in the 60s is still there. It's not the Chrysler dealership anymore, but it's still there. And there's this awning that juts out from the building.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they used to park all these Super Bs and all kinds of other, wild, dreamy looking cars. And I remember it's a very, very young child when my dad was on leave and would come up to North Georgia because we were stationed in places like Warner Robins Air Base. And my mother was from Atlanta, so we'd visit people in Atlanta. My dad was up here in North Georgia, so we'd visit people in Dalton and other areas in North Georgia. So we'd go visit Chattanooga. And as you drove up the road, one of the earliest memories I have of seeing muscle cars was seeing Dodges with the big wings on the back, and didn't know what they were at the time.
The big old Superbirds and the Daytonas.
Yeah, it looked like giant Hot Wheels to me.
You actually know what that big wing's up there for, right? Why it's so high?
Uh-huh.
So you can open the trunk.
So you can do what?
So you can open the trunk.
So you can open.
That's why that wing is so tall.
Without the wing having to be affixed to the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yep. Yeah, I remember my first time ever seeing a muscle car in person. I'd always seen them. I grew up on the magazines, like I said, in Hot Wheels. Super Chevy, the Hot Rod. They had their first gen Camaro, and in Carcraft, stuff like that. But Carcraft normally was the big glitter paint jobs and chrome motors and all that stuff. But I was actually riding my bicycle one time. I was probably, I don't know, 10 years old, and my shoelace come untied. So I pulled over on the side of the road in the housing development I was riding around, and I'm sitting there tying up my shoe, and I hear this noise. I'm like, what in God's name is that? And it was just the loudest, most vicious, ornery sound I had ever heard. And I looked up, and here come this car backing out of the carport, or garage rather, and I just looked at it, and it was sitting there, it was almost, breathing fire and everything. It was just so ferocious. So the guy shut it down, and what he was going to do was actually wash it. So I walked over there, and like I said, everybody's grown up around Mustangs. You can't go a city block without seeing one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I go up and I'm talking to the guy, and I ask him what it is, and he starts telling me it's a Camaro. And I just stood there in amazement of what this thing was. And it was actually turned out to be a 71 model, the one with the split bumper. Mm-hmm. So that was my first encounter with a Camaro in person.
Now, I bet you'll never forget it.
Oh, no.
That's awesome.
I
remember the first time I saw a Mustang. It was kind of like that. We won't go into that because it's Camaro time right now. But
yeah, we had literally on our way to doing this live, we were rushing from this to that to the other. We were a little behind, and we were coming out of the store with her celebratory cookies and had to rush over here. So I didn't have time to do a random interesting vehicle. If I see a random interesting vehicle out in the wild, and sometimes I want to film it, which, by the way,
right,
reminds me, I need to let everybody know there is a Mopar in editing right now that we found somewhere else out in the wild, and I did have time, and I did stop and talk to the owner, and I filmed it and everything. So that's going to be a later thing. But you will be seeing a Mopar, and he's going to do a lot of mods to it. So it's like the first video. We're going to get another video of it when he's done with it. But this is going to be like the before video, and I'll reveal all that when I get that video up. But when I'm leaving and I'm coming here, and I didn't have time to film it, but I saw this coal black Camaro sitting out in the outer edge of the parking lot, of course, because he's not going to park it in amongst everybody else and get it door dinged. But it was a nice looking one, and I didn't get a chance to go film it or see exactly what it was. But boy, I was tempted. I was really tempted to be late.
We were anyway.
Whenever I see one, I always do it too.
Yeah. Feel the urge to film the thing.
Oh yeah. I've probably got 4,000 photos of random cars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was another thing that I was thinking about doing was because I see so many interesting Camaros and Mopars and Mustangs around town, out in the wild, you know, in addition to seeing them at the meets and the cruise-ins and the car shows. And there's something a little different about seeing them out in the wild too. Yep. And that's
what I was saying about the Mustangs. You can see one every corner, but whenever you get into the other cars like the Camaros, you just don't see them that much.
Well, there's some special ones out there. I mean, there's some Mustangs you run across. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of times with the Mustangs, it's not a matter of seeing a Mustang, because like you said, there's a lot of them out there. It's a matter of seeing a special one.
Oh yeah.
And it can be the same thing with
Cobra. My goodness.
Yeah, it can be the same thing with the Camaros. I mean, if you're going to go out there, if I'm going to do a series of videos where I've taken shots of Camaros and Mustangs and Mopars out in the wild, it will probably be, you know, special ones like the RSs and the SSs and the Cobras and the SVTs and the Demons and the Hellcats and all that kind of stuff, and then make a collage of one running around in the wild out here, so that people can kind of see what the town has to offer on a daily basis.
And it is a smorgasbord here.
Oh, it is. It is, and it's you know, you kind of expect that in Atlanta when I go to visit mom and stuff, or my sister or somebody, you know. It's kind of a dime a dozen, you know. There's all kinds of Teslas running around, Ferraris, Maseratis.
Apparently, the carpet industry has done very well for its employees, because there are a lot of very cool cars running around.
Right, and in between Atlanta, you know, there's certain distance outside the perimeter, you're still seeing a lot of hot cars. But then you'll get to a certain point where there's just not a lot to see. And then you get to Dalton, and then there's a smorgasbord again. And then, of course, in Chattanooga, there's pockets of places with nice cars, and other places where you don't really see anything nice. Just patches here and there.
I live probably, I don't know, I'd say 15 miles outside of a major city, which is Charlotte, North Carolina. And it's the same way when you're in town, especially around the cars and coffee, you got the Ferraris and the Lambos and stuff like that, and the special Mustangs, Camaros and stuff. But it seems like once you get, I don't know, 10, 15 miles, they start dropping off to where you see the basic daily drivers, the V6 Camaros, the EcoBoost Mustangs, stuff like that.
Right.
There's this one truck. It's a Rumblebee. Yeah. That thing is awesome. I detest yellow. Okay. I do not like yellow vehicles at all, but this truck is yellow and black. It is awesome. And I see that thing all the time. We have, a matter of fact, we have a video or two on Saneauto.
It's one video.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like we've got two on that vehicle, because we met the owner the second time we saw it, but we filmed it the first time we saw it. We never actually got an owner interview, because he was, when we did finally catch him out in the wild, he was about to leave.
Yeah.
He had his groceries and stuff, and he was
And
about
it
to
would
leave.
have been in Spanish anyway.
Yeah, because she was having to speak to him in Spanish. I couldn't understand nothing he said.
So it wouldn't have done very good for our fan base, but
Yeah.
you know.
My Spanish is about the level of a 2 or 3 year old. It's just learning how to talk.
Well, there's your idea for another channel.
Pero por lo
Miss Sane
menos
can
se
sit
me
there
entiende un
and do the
poco.
videos in Spanish.
She could.
Yep,
See?
that's what I'm saying.
She could like re-edit every video I've done in Spanish and make a whole nother channel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Of course, that would be a monumental amount of work.
Oh yeah, I'd have to quit my job, and don't know what my boss would do without me. He'd probably
go bankrupt without her.
Probably have a heart attack.
Yeah, before he went bankrupt, he'd have a heart attack.
Yeah, we
Poor
don't want that to happen.
No, we wouldn't do that.
Well, you could take
to the poor guy.
You could take several of your most views and just let her do a voiceover to the whole video.
Yeah. If I was going to do that, that would be a great idea. That would be a great way to do it. Is take the most popular ones and re-edit them and re-narrate them in Spanish, and maybe do some more tweaks that improvements that
we do have a little bit of Spanish here and there,
right,
in different videos.
Yep. Now I am planning on taking some of my older videos and redoing them anyway, because of the things that you just made me remember right now, is that if I were to redo some of them in Spanish, there would also be a plethora of other improvements I would like to make if it's an older video, because of all the things that I've learned.
Mill Hill Mud Mowers, hey, how you doing? From
making so many videos, over the last 11 years, I guess it has been now. It's been 11 years.
Wow.
Since the first channel that I ever made, and which was one Air Force brat, which later changed the name to Saneauto, because it ended up mostly automotive stuff. And then I made a new channel for the other content with the name One Air Force Brat, which is kind of like a personal channel, because those videos I just don't see being very interesting for too many people other than maybe ourselves or close family.
I know I've had to change my channel up several times too.
And and even the ones that are interesting, there's just really no consistency to the topic on that channel. So I don't ever promote it. I don't do anything with it. It's just kind of like a way to, store videos.
And be able to see them and share them. Hey, how you doing?
So, of course, Saneauto has been the main focus and the main channel and everything. And then we've got the Sane Enterprises.
Hey.
The Sane Enterprises for promoting everyone else's channels. And, not that we don't do that here, but that it's the main focus of that channel. And then I'm in between doing all this other editing and all these other videos for both the Saneauto channel and the Sane Enterprises channel. I'm trying to, I almost did it today, but I didn't get a chance. I had so many things to do, but I need to do the intros and the outros so that I can put other people's videos up on the Insanefriends channel, which I know this is the Insanefriends show, and we're going to be doing this every Wednesday night at 7, but there's a whole nother channel called Insanefriends, and it's going to be nothing but all you guys' videos, and with me giving an intro and an outro, to let people know what kind of stuff you have on your channels. And there's going to be a link in the description to your channels, and there'll be instructions on that too, is how to get your video on that channel so that people can see it. It's just another way to give everybody else some exposure. One of the things too, I've noticed that even if and I know you are Camaro Time, but you know, some people still need to learn um, to be more generous and giving towards other people. One of the things I have learned over the years is the more that I focus on helping other people, whether it be in brick and mortar businesses, and I'm going out helping other people grow their businesses and stuff, or YouTube channels, and I'm helping other people grow their YouTube channels. The more you help other people grow the same kind of stuff that you're doing and put more focus on that than you are in growing your own, it ends up making your business or your channel grow more than it would have if you were focusing all your focus on trying to force it to grow. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
the great thing about it, like I've told you before, it's free. I mean, all you got to do is hit the button and say hi, and it's
yeah,
free.
on YouTube it's free. On YouTube it's
yeah.
free. When you're out there in the brick and mortar business world, and you've got a street storefront, and you've got all this rent and this you know, the lights and utilities and water, and you've got gas to go to places and stuff, to visit other people, and you've got all these costs involved. If you want to try to help out other businesses and stuff, you've got direct costs and indirect costs involved in helping the other businesses out in hopes that they'll return the favor. And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. Here on YouTube, especially within the Sane community, the Mopar community, the Camaro community, and the I Am a Creator community, we've noticed that you go out and you help these other people with their pages, and you give them the kind of stuff that you're looking for. It's free to give. It's free to give watch time. It's free to give views. It's free to, you know, look closely at the videos while they're playing and try to learn things and give advice. It's free to do all these things that these people need to grow their channels. It's free to tweet their videos out. It's free to share their videos on your Facebook. It's free to do all these things. And it doesn't really cost you anything. And so even if we weren't getting such a great return on doing these things, it would still not cost you anything.
Nope.
But that's the other beauty of it, is that it gives so much better return than doing the same things out here in brick and mortar businesses. I mean, we're seeing like a 70, 80, sometimes 90% return on our kindness.
Yep.
You know, and that's just unheard of in any product I've ever sold. I mean, you go knocking on doors, you make cold calls, whatever. You got 100, 200 customers to get 1, 2, maybe 10 sales. Well, I mean, you go out and support 100, 200 channels, you're going to get, geez, at least 150, 180 support back. And sometimes it snowballs into more than what you gave, because sometimes the ones that you went out and supported, they not only support you back, but then they share your videos and stuff. They and our channel, Saneauto, is at that point right now where we're getting more than 100% return on everything that we do. It seems like the amount of channels and stuff that we're supporting, and we're going back and watching their videos, and we're sharing videos, and we're talking to them about how to grow their channel and stuff. It seems like they're telling other people about us, and we're getting way more subscribers per week than not only than we ever have, but way more subscribers per week than what we're putting effort towards. You know what I mean?
Right.
And part of it is,
well, you
because
asked me, I'm not changing the subject or anything, but I've been wanting to ask, and I want to ask before I forget it. You asked me which was my favorite. Well, which was your favorite? You said you had a 69. What made you buy it?
Oh, the 69?
Yep.
Well, the 69.
And which is your favorite?
Was well, I only had the 69 and the 86. So now the 69 was definitely one of my favorite body styles. but I really liked the look of that 86 that I had as well. Let me answer the first question first. The reason I bought the 69 is because I had a friend. He was my friend first. Then he was my employee later. And then while he was an employee, he got involved in some stuff that he had quit a long time ago. He was clean and he wasn't doing anything. And he was doing great and he was learning and he was growing and we were getting along. And then he inherited some money. One of his family members died. He inherited some money, and it was a substantial amount of money. So the car, he'd had it for a long, long time. And he started spending money somewhere in the neighborhood of $40,000 on the engine alone.
Wow.
And he was down at the racetrack, drag racing it. And before he got a chance to finish fixing up the body and repaint the body and do the interior and stuff, he met somebody down there that they got involved in doing whatever he was addicted to earlier again. And he went off the deep end. And all that money was gone within 3 months and then some.
Wow.
And
I've heard tales like that.
Yeah, that's the way it happens. You know, you can't be messing around with that stuff. It will destroy you. And
okay, that's
so
a sad story.
he was in a bind. The long story short, I ended up with the Camaro. And it was one of those deals that it was so cheap at the time. And I told him, I'm not going to take advantage of you like that. I really don't want to do that. And his exact words to me were, well, if I walk out of here and you don't buy it, somebody else will.
Yep.
I said, okay, here's the money. And I bought it. And so
life lessons.
Yeah, I took the engine and stuff out of it and I was going to fix it up. But at that point I had a ton of work coming in the shop. I had the parts department going too, had a lot of irons in the fire. And for whatever reason, I decided not to restore it at the time. And I was going to do it later. And one of the guys that towed my customers' vehicles in for me saw it back there, obviously in the midst of being a project, and offered me money I couldn't refuse for it without the motor and transmission as is, just like it was. And at the time I was thinking, I can have all this money right now, or I can spend a buttload of money.
Yeah, fix it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I gave it up, and I still have that. It's a 383 stroker motor. I still have that engine and transmission right now.
Wow.
It's back there preying on my mind every once in a while, trying to make me spend money on another Camaro project, but I have so far resisted.
There's voices keep calling.
But I would have to say that 86 was my favorite of the two that I owned. And my favorite of ones that I don't own would be one of the newer ones. But my favorite of the two that I did own would be that 86. Because when I was driving that car, not only did it look great, and I had the same feel of being a Mustang or Camaro or a nice Mopar like a Challenger or Charger or something. Not only did I, feel like I had a nice muscle car, but even though it didn't really have all that much muscle under the hood, it sure looked like it
from that time did.
Inside and out, it looked like it did. It looked fast, and it had that wedge shape. And at the time, that was the new thing. And but man, it seemed like it just slipped through the air, and it rode so good, and it actually could take a curve, but it got better gas mileage then than our old beater 4-cylinder that we use for gas mileage now.
Wow.
It got better gas mileage than that does. So sometimes I miss that car, but for various reasons, but that's one of the reasons. And it was nice being able to take those T-tops out.
Yep.
You get kind of that same feel that we do with the Corvette when you take the Targa top off the Corvette.
I wish they'd bring that back in the Camaros.
Yeah, and one advantage of the T-tops on that Camaro was you're cruising, you got your arm on the window here, and if you want to twist around and do something, take your arm down and reach over to get something. You want to twist around and you're got a sore back that day or something, you can reach up there and grab that T for that top and brace yourself and twist around and do whatever you want to do and kind of stabilize yourself so you don't get that kink in your back.
Yep.
And you use it
well, the
like
86 model.
Yeah, go ahead.
The 86 model being the third generation, you know why that model was so popular, don't you?
Why is that?
Because that was one of their biggest selling platform. Because of NASCAR, remember the whole IROC series they used to have, the International Race of Champions?
Right.
Win on Sunday, sell on Monday. And everybody in that had the same car.
Oh yeah, I let you announce that. Where I was going to announce that on Sane Sunday Live. But
guess what car's going back to NASCAR?
Well, they've already got the Camaro, so what?
Pony car.
Oh God.
Yes, the Mustang
That's
is going
all right.
back to NASCAR. You heard it here.
It'll still be hard to whip a Toyota.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Camaro and the pony car have to team up.
Now that would be something if they had a racing team that had both. But
now she asked me at the beginning all those.
They have to do all three though.
Yeah.
If they had a racing team that was mixed drivers and mixed cars, they'd have to have one of each. And
now she asked me those questions. Go ahead. She asked me those questions at the beginning, so I got one for her. Why do they call it a pony car?
Obviously, because there's a Mustang on the front of it.
A pony on the front of the
Mustang. Huh?
I think he covered this
that's not it.
In his video too.
Nope, that's not it. The reason they call it pony cars is because of the design of the car. Long front end and short rear end. Like the long hood with the short trunk. That's the whole that's where they got it from.
Well, very good. Thank you.
Which is also known as the fastback body style.
Yeah.
And isn't it when they started using that with the longer front end and the shorter back end, that's when they started going over 200 miles an hour in NASCAR?
Yeah.
Yeah. Richard Petty.
Yep, Richard Petty. He was the one. He was the one.
That's scary, ain't it?
I've been close.
Not me. 110 is the fastest I ever went. Believe it or not, the first time I did that was on the old Triumph.
Yeah.
That old Triumph. And I was going up one of these freeways with my friend David, who, they call him the Mad Dog at the time. He was on his 66 Electric Glide, and we're going down the freeway, and it's one of those old freeways that's back in the day that didn't have very much traffic on there. There wasn't that many people out. And we're going like 110. And the only reason I knew we were going that fast is because he's right beside me, and I could see him out the corner of my eye, and he looked at me and kind of snickered a little bit, and I could see him twist the wicket, twisted just about that much. And you heard that old blat from that Harley, and it just took off like he was taking off from a stop sign or something, just took off and left me. And I glanced down at the speedo, and stuff was going by like that.
Oh yeah.
And I glanced down at the speedo, and I seen I'm doing 110, and I'm like, nah, I'll just catch up to him later. I wasn't about to try to catch him. Plus, that old Triumph is just a 4-speed, and it really needs another gear.
No, it doesn't.
And that's what was so dangerous about the old cars. They go straight really good, but all they had was A-arms and ball joints. They didn't have sway bars and stuff. So that's one of the technological advances that we can really owe a lot of thanks to.
Oh yeah, most of the modern cars now they feel at you're going down the freeway, and it was 55 miles an hour most of the time we were teenagers and kids and stuff, and now everybody's driving around 80, 85 like it ain't nothing, and the cars feel at 80 miles an hour as good or better than our cars felt when we were driving around at 45, 50. Everything's nice and tight, and
it's
with the AC on and the radio playing.
Yeah,
there's a lot of difference nowadays. I mean, I can't imagine doing the speeds in the old cars that we rode around in when we were teenagers. Now, I mean, I just can't imagine that speed. But now it seems safer.
It does.
It's just,
yeah, it is. And the wind noise is reduced greatly in even the cheapest cars nowadays. The wind noise is greatly reduced, because you used to go down the freeway in those old cars, and
there was a whistle. I missed that
whistle.
There's
all kinds of wind noise, whistles and low drones, and just all kinds of weird.
The windows shaking because there was no channel.
Yeah. So I guess that's what the radios were for, and the 8-tracks. The 8-tracks would just repeat over and over and over again.
Tape. Thank goodness I didn't have too many of those. We had the cassette tape player. We were fancy.
And not in the Cougar. Then the Cougar, we had the 8-track. The cassette came later. And I don't remember which one was the first one we had a cassette in. But that's been a long time ago.
Probably the Scirocco.
Yeah, the old Volkswagen Scirocco. Yeah. I know it had a cassette in it.
I think my Firebird was the first one that had it for me. Because I know the Mustang had the first one that had the 65 Mustang just had AM, FM. Then I had a Torino that had the 8-track. Then I got the 8-track adapter that you could put cassettes in. And then later on I got, but modern technology, wonderful thing.
Sometimes it's scary though.
Yeah, because it takes the human touch out of it.
Yeah. I mean, he wants a Tesla because the Tesla is going to be able to drive itself.
Well, it's not just because of that. There's a lot of advantages to the Tesla. I want it to replace.
And a Tesla does not have that same, Well,
I'm not giving up my grr muscle cars for the Tesla. What I'm giving up for the Tesla is the old beater 4-cylinder gas mileage car. I'm still gonna have Mustangs and Camaros or Corvette.
What if they make them illegal?
Maybe an import. I'll be dead by then probably. But no, when they do start making cars illegal, and they've already talked about some of this in some of the big meetings at the insurance companies with some of the high mucky mucks at GM and Ford present, and they all talked about this. There will be non-autonomous cars made illegal in crowded cities like New York and Atlanta and LA and stuff like that. I mean, that's going to happen, but that's a long, long ways off. And that's not going to make, you know, people driven cars illegal where we're at and in places in between. You know, that's a forever off. We'll all be long gone before that happens.
Oh, yeah.
And
I don't think it'll ever happen where they completely get rid of it. There's too much money to be made.
That too. And you know, one of the things they were saying that, who is it you sell the classic car insurance for?
Haggerty.
Haggerty was talking about this, that, you know, years and years down the road, when our grandchildren, something only our grandchildren have to worry about, is that for as far as muscle cars and gas engine cars, though, just like there's still horses around and there's still buggies and stuff around, but they're in places where people go to pay to ride them and stuff. And that there's whole industry around the horses, you know, riding and racing and everything else. You know, and that's never going to go away. You know, that's there forever. There's going to still be.
But there are people
the
who
car
have
races.
never ridden a horse.
Yeah, there are some people that have never ridden a horse, but you know, that's a personal choice. I mean, it's within their grasp.
But I mean, could you imagine people who've never driven in a combustion car?
Yeah, I could imagine people that's never driven cars, period. My grandmother was one of them. She never drove. Yeah, my grandmother never drove. She never drove any car.
No, but I mean, like, people
like never ridden in one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's hard for me to imagine because I've ridden a horse and so, you know, my dad kept horses and until recently, really. I mean, all his life he had at least a horse or two or five, and shoeing those things is backbreaking. A lot of people don't realize how much work is involved in that. But they're going to think that same thing about what we're doing with the cars now, with all the oil changes and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of the younger kids, they're going to find out about that. They're going to find out about all the care and maintenance that we did to these cars, and they're going to think that about us the way we think about all the work that went into the steam engine cars. You know. Where they do like an hour's worth of work just to start one.
Or even the wood burn cars.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, that's going to happen. But yeah, but as long as I'm alive, I'm going to have an ICE or internal combustion engine car, or two or three. And well, I say as long as I'm alive. If I lose my mind, I don't know. I don't know what kind of more health problems I've got coming to me. But, you know, of course, if I'm in a nursing home somewhere and I can't remember anybody's name,
you're not going to a nursing home.
Okay. Well, so there you go. So, but if I'm over in the corner drooling.
Yeah. Can't remember you had a car.
Yeah. I can't remember I had a car, you know. Of course, then I'm not going to worry about it. But I'll probably be playing racing games with my VR headset on or something.
Well, you know, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but I think all the auto manufacturers ought to do this. I forgot what city and state it was in, but they took a Belvedere and buried it in a time capsule. I think each one of them, the auto manufacturers, ought to do that and dig it up 15, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Now, granted, this one, they didn't think ahead. They didn't waterproof the tomb and all that. They put a shrink wrap on it that was supposed to be watertight and all that, but the cement tomb itself wasn't waterproof, so it was horrible. I watched that last night and I was like, oh my God, poor car.
Yeah.
4 miles on the odometer, 4 miles.
Wow. Yeah, I think some of the auto manufacturers, I need to look into that a little bit more because there's probably a very interesting video in that and finding out about what vehicles manufacturers have preserved and because I'm sure there's some.
I know Ford has a big museum.
Right. Yeah, they do. And
so does Corvette.
Yep.
And that was
Green, Kentucky.
Yep.
Right. And I would like to be able to visit some more of those one day. Of course, you know, the museum we went to and saw the turn of the century cars and filmed those. That was nice. I really enjoyed that. And that was some really good videos came out of that.
The next museum we're going to, though, is the Hollywood Museum.
Yeah, we are. But right now it's show car season.
The Batman car.
Yeah, and we're gonna film that too. I'm gonna get lots of shots with you in it.
There you go.
So
one of the things I like about the Corvette Museum was, you know, they had that sinkhole that took a lot of their cars.
You're talking about the one in Kentucky.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they actually made that part of the exhibit. You know, they filled in part of it with cement to prevent it from doing it again. But you could actually look down in there and see some of the cars that it took. I think that was pretty ingenious.
Yeah. Absolutely. I heard they've got a screen up there and they're playing video because
when the cars went in the ground.
Yeah, when it collapsed, because it was actually caught on video.
I gotta take these and put these away
by the internal cameras.
Yeah.
Okay, excuse me, everybody. I got to take these and put these away. I'm going to be 600 pounds.
Well, what's your thought on the refresh? I mean, since we're doing Camaros, what's your thought on the refresh? You like it? You don't like it?
I actually haven't been down there to see it yet. There is a local. Yeah, I want a couple of them. There's a local GM dealer here. It's not the one that I worked at because, of course, I wasn't in Dalton when I worked for GM and had all my GM training and everything. I was in Chattanooga when I did that. But the dealership that I worked at isn't even there anymore. They moved to the north end of town. But I haven't actually been there to see the 2019 yet.
I was going to go yet either.
Right. I was going to go up there, and that's when I was going to do all my research too. While I'm there, I was going to go through their material and stuff that they have when I'm there, and I wanted to see if I could talk one of the managers in to let me either interview him or one of the salespeople, and get some information about it that way on film to put on the page so that everybody can see it. And so that was my plans on that, and I haven't done that yet because like right now I've still got to do the C3s on the Corvettes. And when I get a chance to delve back into GM, that's what I want to do, is do the C3s and the C4s. But I am kind of anxious to get through. Well, I'm not sure that's the right word, because I'm also anxious to do the C3 Corvettes, because the C3 Corvettes are one of my favorite body styles, because it's very curvy, and I like the curvy body style. And it's as far as I'm concerned, the best looking body style that GM ever put on Corvette. And I know I'm probably going to get some disagreement on that, but it is. Until they came out with this newest one, which is very awesome in a completely different way, because it does look like a true supercar.
Yeah.
But
that's just like the Camaros, you know. I can sit there and say I like the 2012, and somebody will come on and say, well, I like 2017 better, you know. It's just personal preference.
Couldn't figure out why I didn't hear anything.
And some of them are really, really adamant about it too.
Yes, they are. Yes. You know, but I think the one thing that people really are not liking on this particular refresh is the front grille, the front fascia. I mean, they say it looks like the Charger, which indeed it does. It does resemble it a lot, but there's so little actual body there. It's all grille. I mean, before long, we're going to have a car that is nothing but a grille. And I think that's what a lot of people don't like about the refresh.
So it's a lot of grille with some headlights.
Yes. The SS model. Now the the LTs and the four-cylinder and all that, they still have the bumper. And like I said, the SS has it, but it's blacked out, so you really can't tell it's there. But it just looks like one big, huge grill. And I think that's the biggest part most people don't like. That and the bow tie placement.
Well, when I get to that point, what I was planning on doing is I've got to go up there and do the C7 Corvettes anyway. And so I'm thinking when I'm up there talking to them about filming the C7 Corvettes, I can film a couple of the Camaros at the same time.
There you go.
And then when I finish up the Corvette series, I'll already have some footage of the 2019 Corvette,
right?
And some information on it too, and then I can do a couple of videos, or at least one on the 2019 at that point.
My local dealer's supposed to call me when I get one in. We'll see.
And I'll be sure to get some really good close-up footage of that front end when I do, and that grill.
I think they're just doing little bitty changes here, and like I said, I think their main one that's really going to take off this year is the Turbo 1LE, because it's got all the suspension upgrades and everything. They're going after the guys with the Focus RSs and the Volkswagen Golf owners and stuff like that. I think that's what they're gearing it toward. And it's about time for a complete rechange of the body style. I figure another year and a half, they'll probably throw out a new design. Plus, they still got the new Z28 that they're supposed to be working on.
Now, I have to ask, because we were talking about autonomous cars and electric cars earlier. You know if GM has any plans for something in the Camaro platform being a hybrid or EV anytime in the near future?
Hybrid?
Yeah.
Yes, they are working on one. Yes. I don't know what it's called. I don't know it's going to be a Camaro. I just don't know what the official name of it's going to be. And then they've got another one that they're working on also that is not a Camaro, which they're wanting to be autonomous, drive itself. But that's way down the line on that one.
Well, GM actually, as far as EVs are concerned, they're in the lead of the big three, right behind the four, which is Tesla. We've got four big United States auto manufacturers now.
If they could just come up with one that looks good, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they seem to. I mean, Ford. This is just across the board. Ford, GM, and Chrysler seem to want to make every single hybrid and electric vehicle, except for the hybrids that they just take a platform that's an ICE car and replace the drivetrain, you know, because there's been a lot of that going on. And they'll take some good-looking cars, some popular cars, and they'll replace the drivetrain with hybrid or EV, and those still look good when they do that. But the ones that they specifically make as a hybrid or an EV, it seems like they make them ugly on purpose. And I guess that's just because I guess they think that the market for that is somebody other than us.
Right.
And that's what I get from that. I think that they think that things like that wouldn't appeal to us. But what they're overlooking when they think about that demographic, when they think about, oh, only a certain type of person would buy this EV, or only a certain type of person would buy this hybrid, is I think they're not taking into account that a lot of us car guys, a lot of us muscle car guys, have some old beater 4-cylinder car in the driveway, like I myself do, some hyper efficient car that we'd like to replace with something like that really doesn't have anything to do with our muscle cars.
Right. I'd love to see an electric
and we want a good looking one when we do it.
Yes, exactly.
When we do it, we don't want it to look like a little turd sitting beside our Camaro or Mustang or whatever. You know,
It's almost like they think it's going to be a competitor, but why not put the technology in it? I mean, you're just going to sell more of the same car, you know?
exactly, exactly. And so if you viewers don't know which GM we're talking about here, the leader besides Tesla, because Tesla is a U.S. automaker, and it's a very big U.S. automaker now, and the production is up. It's quadrupled this quarter since last quarter on the Tesla 3s alone. You know, but GM has another EV called the Chevy Bolt.
Yep.
And not Volt with a V, but Bolt with a B.
Yeah.
Because at some point, the Volt went from being an EV back to being a hybrid again, which I think was a little backwards. And that was a good looking car too. That was a good looking car. Yeah.
I mean, the best of the
burnt the name. I mean,
yeah, they burnt the name when they did that. We went backwards from EV. But the Bolt is really got the performance that people are looking for. That, okay, and let me back up here a little bit. Best-selling EV in America is not an American car. It's the Nissan Leaf, right? And because you know, Tesla didn't have the production to outbuild Nissan Leaf did not perform nearly as well as the American-made Tesla. But it gets like 80 miles range, whereas the Tesla gets the Tesla S's, but the Tesla S's are like $100,000 car. So it's not really a competitor with the Nissan Leaf and other ones like that at $35,000, you know. So the Nissan Leaf was really king because of that, and because of the availability. You could buy one and have it right then. Then Tesla 3 came out. They're still on back order. It's going to be a while before they get caught up. But instead of being 2, 3, 4 years before they get caught up, now with the new production increases, it's going to be more like possibly by the end of this year, middle of next year, they'll get caught up on production. And at some point, you're going to be able to just walk in and buy one and have it that day.
They say that's because of their business model. They want you to purchase it before they build it.
Well, not only that, but it's still working on that giant gigafactory, which is now done, and it is the biggest car manufacturing factory in the world, bar none. And they're expanding it. But here comes along Chevy Bolt, which is the first other American car to actually have more range than the Nissan Leaf and better performance, and on pretty close to the Tesla 3. It's over 200 miles range with one charge, over 200 miles range in the Chevy Bolt, which is a giant leap forward past the Nissan Leaf. So now America's back on top again. Well, it was on top again with Tesla, because Tesla's an American company. It's a U.S. company. So, you know, the U.S. was already leader in electric because of Tesla. But now GM is taking that solidly, that second slot in the EV market away from anybody outside the U.S. So now the U.S. has the top 2 electric vehicles by, you know, 2 manufacturers. Ford, on Ford's website, they said they got plans for like 40 different vehicles by, I think, 2022 in the EV market. So that's going to be a bunch of choices. And if Ford's got that many choices, GM's already got, you know, one of the 2 best electric cars in the world. And they're both U.S. made, you know, GM and Tesla.
There's going to be a point where they just take off, like, you know, back when they invented the Model A and the Model T. You know, everybody was kind of hesitant, but then when the road started catching up and the technology started catching up, well, they just took off. Well, it's like overnight. The Model A, the Model T, cars like that took over the horse's responsibility.
Right. And I see this too as, you know, U.S. automakers taking the lead in, well, they already had the lead, but really solidifying their lead in that niche market, and so we got some great things coming there, and then of course we're going to have some choices in hybrids in our muscle cars and stuff, and the
I'm ready for that
assist and stuff like that. Yeah, because I mean, you look at some things like some of the European stuff. Take the BMW i8 for example. I mean, and the way it performs with that hybrid drivetrain, and I mean, and that is a good looking hybrid vehicle right there. That is this crazy, wild, aggressive, beautiful car. I see the potential in a lot of our American muscle cars being like that, across the board.
With the hybrids, you got the instant horsepower and the torque from the electric motor section, and then as it builds up speed, the combustion part can take over.
And if some of the viewers have never actually felt that before,
oh God,
I mean, when Camaro Time says instant on that, he means instant. I mean, instant like you've never felt before. I mean, you get back in your ICE car and you feel a hesitation that you never noticed was there. Even if everything is perfect, there's still this hesitation that you just didn't seem to notice.
It's like when you're in the electric trains. You get in an electric train to go on a subway, and that you just automatically take off.
She says electric train. She
like being
like
shot
the
out
ones
of
in
rocket.
Atlanta. Oh yeah, I mean it's a lot of torque, And who was it? John
600 pounds of torque is there, and it's instant. You're not building up like at certain RPMs. Once you hit that gas, it is there.
Yeah, it's like going from
or hit the pedal.
Riding around an older car with mushy brakes, and then you get in a much more modern car with perfect brakes, and you first touch the pedal, and it's like it wants to throw you through the windshield kind of thing. Yep. Well, that torque is, the negative G-forces is the same kind of thing.
Yep.
From
or
that
like the older cars,
motor.
Whenever the car in front of you be going slower, and you'd have to mash the gas a couple seconds before you wanted to go around it because you had to wait on that passing gear to kick in.
Yeah, or some of those older turbo cars.
Yep.
They had a lot of turbo lag. And you really had to get those RPMs up to get that turbo spinning enough to where it would actually do its job. Yeah. Yeah. That was
she's looking.
And the turbo diesels are like that too. I think the worst one I had was a Volkswagen turbo diesel. Had I love that car because it got like 50 miles to the gallon, but it had some very noticeable turbo lag. Because
the first one I ever rode in was a GNX Grand National.
Oh,
you could kill them off the line, but once they got spooled up and got to going, they were something to beat.
Oh yeah, especially if it was the 86. The 86 model had the most refinements and the most horsepower of the, and Darth Buick. If you look up Darth Buick on my page, you'll find one of those that I filmed. I think it was last year. I filmed that one. Darth Buick, and I found Darth Buick in Chatsworth, Georgia. It was in a car show in Chatsworth, Georgia, right at the foot of Fort Mountain. And I guess most people that haven't been here don't know where Fort Mountain is. It's one of the mountains over here in the Cherokee National Forest in the Appalachian Mountains. And if you're familiar with the Appalachian Mountains at all, you'll hear a lot of motorcyclists talk about the Dragon's Tail up near Knoxville.
Yep.
And
I still got to go there.
Right. Okay. Well, if you haven't been there, if you've ever been to the Dragon's Tail, down here at Fort Mountain, the road that goes up Fort Mountain to the Fort Mountain State Park, I call it the Dalton Dragon's Tail, because I used to go to the Dragon's Tail once a year, every year, up there near Knoxville, until I discovered this road down here. And now I just go to this particular road that goes up Fort Mountain. And there's pull-offs and everything, just like you have at the Dragon's Tail up near Knoxville, only not nearly as many people know about it, so it's not nearly as crowded. It's just as curvy. It's just as it's just as butt pucker.
Z Outlaw SS actually likes to go up into the mountains and drive his Camaro a lot.
Yeah, because there's like a sheer cliff. Most of the time, there's a sheer cliff on one side and a rock wall on the other side.
Oh, yeah. And he's from down there in Georgia too.
Is he really?
I can't hear anybody. Ah!
Yeah, he's from down in Georgia. I forget exactly where he is, but he's down there. He talks about going up into the mountains all the time and stuff too. So I know where you're talking about, the area. I've never been, but I know from his videos the area.
There's a lot of great places in the Cherokee National Forest over here in the Appalachian Mountains, and
that runs a long way too.
Yeah, and less than an hour and a half from here is the largest waterfall on the East Coast, or at least east of the Mississippi.
We got pretty pictures of that in there too.
Yeah, when I learn how to do that drone thing, I would like to take that drone up there.
I got to get me one. I got to.
Yeah, I've got to find the time to learn how to do this one.
Well, you see, you talk about pictures, and that's how my channel actually started it out. It was a photography channel. And I don't know, I guess because I was just starting out and everything, you know, when you open up a channel and whatnot, they you don't get a lot of views and stuff. So then I started doing more of my car videos, and that seemed to take off more and more rapidly. So then I intermingled them, and then I said, well, heck, I just decided to make it the car channel.
Yeah, 11 years ago, when YouTube was just starting and I found out about it, and I had some of the younger members of the family were saying, oh, man, you got to try this out. You got to do this and stuff. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just made some random videos and stuff and threw them up there.
Have you ever heard of Blood Mountain?
Of what?
Blood Mountain.
Blood Mountain?
Yeah.
I can't say that I have.
Well, the reason I'm asking, Z Outlaw just posted it. He said it. They have over 180 down there, and one of them was Blood Mountain.
Most of the mountains over here, most of the ones I can see out my living room window even. I have no idea what the name of them are. And if you ever look at this area on Google Maps, it's astounding how many mountains there are.
Wow.
Right here. Before you even get over the Georgia line into South Carolina and Tennessee, there's just so many of them, and so many valleys in between and stuff. It's amazing. It's incredible.
I actually want to move to the mountains myself.
And we normally visit. Go ahead.
We normally visit like Cherokee, Maggie Valley, places like that, which is just basically southeast of Tail of the Dragon.
Yeah, I have Mile High Maggie Valley. One of my earliest childhood memories was going to Mile High Maggie Valley theme park when it was open the first time, and then it was closed, and then somebody else opened it again a second time, and I kept meaning to go up there, and by the time I got a chance to go up there, it was closed again.
Yep.
And so I don't know whatever happened to that, but I had it was actually because of YouTube that I was able to see some videos of Mile High Maggie Valley, and it's where I found out about its reopening and its closing was, course, YouTube was smaller then, but it was still a lot of good information on there.
Well,
And it was
just to clarify something, Z Outlaw said the road is 180, not there's 180 mountains.
oh, okay. It's all right. But
well, I can't believe time's already flew. It's 9 o'clock.
is it really? Oh man, yeah, it's about time for us to wrap it up.
Get off because I've got to be at work in the morning.
Yeah, she's got to go
Tomorrow is
sell
a
again.
long day.
Yeah, by long day she means long day, like 12-hour day. She's got tomorrow.
I still got to eat dinner yet.
Oh wow, wow. Yeah, that's well, we better let you go, and appreciate everybody here. You want to check with everybody in the chat, and
yeah, went up and was trying to set up my computer. Got a new computer. See,
shout out some people
pretty.
In the chat. Why don't you shout out the people in the chat before we go? Yeah.
Well, there's
let me get this out real quick.
Hi.
Yeah, let him.
Hey, all right. I just want to say thanks for having me, and thank you for all you guys do, helping the community and everything. Because like I told you before in one of the chat sessions, I was actually going to give up. I was done. I was finished, and I decided to watch my last video, and as I was taking the mouse to go up to click and go into the settings and delete, I saw one of your videos talking about Saneauto, come grow with us or something like that. So I said, what the heck, I'll watch it, and I clicked on it, and that's why I'm still here.
Awesome. Well, we sure are glad you're still here.
We're huge fans of yours too.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of great
videos. But I'd also like
to
thank everybody else for coming.
Yep. I like to thank everybody else for coming too. And if there's anybody here that hasn't checked out Camaro Time's page, you're really missing out. You got to go check out his page. He's got a lot of good videos there. And while you're there, check out the one on the 2019 Camaro. And there's more in that video than just the 2019 Camaro. He covers a lot of ground in that video. A lot of interesting stuff there.
I like his unboxing.
You will learn something. And yeah, the unboxings, yes. A lot of good content there. A lot of good videos.
And there's one where he was just driving home from work, I think.
Well, and there's some great installs too. Some videos, some great installs of some great products for your Camaros, some mods that you can do. And some of the mods that he does is, and I completely agree with this, the way he does them, like the one with the shift. I can't remember the name of it.
Skip shift eliminator.
The skip shift eliminator. Yes, thank you. The skip shift eliminator he uses is similar to the ones we were using at the shop for various reasons on various different vehicles. They all have these different quirks from the factory, and you can buy these devices to put in line in the harness on the way to the transmission to correct various problems.
Mm-hmm.
Like Camaro Time pointed out, you can purchase a reprogram for the ECU to do a similar thing. But one of the things I like about the way Camaro Time did it and what he did it with, and the kind of devices we used at the transmission shop, is if you ever decide you want to trade that car in or sell that car, get another car, or it gets wrecked or whatever happens, you can always take that device off and you can put it back factory, just like that. And when you reprogram the ECU, it's not so easy to put it back factory.
Right.
And if you watch that video, you can see Camaro Time doesn't just show you the device and everything and how it works. He's also literally underneath the car, shows you exactly how to install it, and then gets in the car and goes down the road and shows you how it works, the difference it makes. And so if just a lot of good content there.
And
I appreciate that.
I want to thank you, Camaro Time, for being our first guest.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope there's many more after, but I am going to expect you to come back with us sometime in the future too.
Right, and all you
Yeah,
guys
let me know.
watching and everything, you want to be the next guest or the next guest or the next guest, drop us a line on I'm Victor Sane on Facebook, and I forget what is my Twitter name. Is it Saneauto or Victor Sane?
No clue
Victor
because I
Sane.
don't twit.
It's Victor Sane. Thank you, Camaro Time. It's Victor Sane on Twitter and Victor Sane on Facebook. Also have Saneauto on Facebook as well as the YouTube. It's the same name as the YouTube. And also on the Saneauto Facebook page, you can see a lot of the same events that I announce on the events calendar on Sane Sunday when we're doing the car news and stuff. And I announce all the car events, the cruise-ins and the shows and stuff like that. Most of my information comes from the event coordinators who put their flyers and stuff on the Saneauto page on Facebook to let us know when they're having their events and their cruise-ins and their meets.
Okay, but before Uzo
so big thanks to them too
goes, I want to tell him good night.
Yeah,
Sorry,
maybe
had to break in.
Maybe Uzo Lou will be our next guest, or Mill Hill Mud Mowers, or Reese's Mill Off-Road Adventures. There's a lot of great channels out
Gregory
here.
Salvador.
Gregory Salvatore, yeah, that would be a great guest to have too. So I really appreciate you being here, Camaro Time. It was wonderful, and thank you for being such an interesting guest.
Go eat your dinner.
Oh yeah,
and enjoy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But by all means, shout everybody out. I mean, it was wonderful for all of them to be here.
Absolutely.
We're about to.
Absolutely.
We're going to take care of that. You have a good one.
Have a good night.
Thank you. You do the same.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Who we got here?
Well, Uzo
Lou is here.
Leaving, so.
Gregory Salvatore.
Gorilla Bear Tech.
Uh-huh.
Camaro Time, hey.
Yeah, big thank you to Camaro Time. Z Outlaw SS.
Camaro Time,
hey. Yeah, big thank you to Camaro Time. Z Outlaw SS. Camaro Time, hey. Yeah, big thank you to Camaro. Robert Campbell RC. ASMR with Sophia, sorry. Himmy, JL8. You say. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, baby. Mill Hill Mud Mowers.
Yeah, Mill Hill was here, and I said hey, and I don't think he heard me, so. He seems to have been preoccupied. C and J Plays MC was here. Is here, was here, not sure. Johnny Pro.
Lil Dumpling was here.
Fab Automotive Detailing. How could we have missed you? Awesome channel. Love the little Hello Kitty car.
RT Gang.
RT Gang. Hey.
An online car show. And how awesome is this? Was here.
Wow.
What a great turnout tonight.
Yeah.
And one last shout out to, Diego 40ism was here as well. We just had a whole bunch of friends today, didn't we? One last shout out to Quick Everett's Garage. We met them at the Volkswagen Bugapalooza. And they are in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's their phone number and their email at Creekside Road. And they are thank them very much for finding my phone when I was so distracted by filming.
Broke Necks was here.
Awesome.
Well, that's it. Well, everybody,
Wow,
thank you for coming.
What a great, awesome car community.
We will see you on Sunday, I guess.
Yes, we will definitely be here. We're still doing Sane Sunday Live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be here with car news and event news and all the usual things. And
I need to get to bed.
And then Sane Enterprises from 4 to 6. Well, actually, let's make that 4:15 to 6.
Bye.
Because we do take a break in between. And I've noticed it takes about 15 minutes, about 15 after. And then again, on next Wednesday night, same time, same place, we'll be doing Insanefriends again. And in between now and then, we will announce on our Saneauto Facebook page and our Twitter who the next guest will be. In the meantime, if you want to be that next guest, drop us a line. Y'all have a great night and a great rest of the week.